Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Rupp Report. I am your host, Tyler Russell, joined by co-host Israel Schill. We start all these episodes off by trying to hold on to something positive, have something positive to talk about. And we do have two segments for you guys. So to start off with, we're going to go over the embarrassing, I guess you could say, quote-unquote loss to Gonzaga. That was more of just, I don't even consider that a loss. That was just, I don't even know what that was, annihilation.
Dismantle.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about potentially a turnaround in the program after Kentucky beat North Carolina Central last night. But Israel, let's start off with this Gonzaga game, man.
Yeah,
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, like you put in the notes, it's the exact same story as the Michigan State game.
Yep.
I remember I was working during the game, so I wasn't locked in fully watching it.
Like camera?
No, I was working just at a restaurant, one of my other jobs. Looking up every once in a while. I was telling people the whole day, I don't think this is going to go well. I don't think it's going to be a great game. And I look up and I don't know the exact number, but it was like 13-1 or something like that. And I was like, oh boy, this is much worse than I thought it was going to be.
Here we go.
Yeah.
No, it was. I was there, and it was 99.9% Kentucky blue. I think I saw 4 Gonzaga fans total.
Yeah, I mean,
and
Nashville.
Yeah, dude,
right
Catskill,
there.
And it was at the point where, I mean, I was in the media area, and you can't cheer, you can't, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was just sitting there, like, my hands on my head, like, oh my god,
what is happening?
I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like I couldn't believe it, but I could believe it because just the way that everything's been going following the North Carolina loss and the Michigan State loss and all 3 ranked losses prior, it was at the point where it was like, we already talked about it. Kentucky has given none of us any reason to think that they're going to win this game, which to that point I wasn't shocked, but they started the game, I think, 5 minutes in, they had 1 point off of an OA free throw, and it took them nearly 8 minutes up to the 12-minute mark to get their first field goal, make their first bucket.
It's almost a whole quarter.
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much. It's 1/4 of the game.
Yeah, without scoring a bucket. I mean, that's unreal. When you think about, like, all right, I mean, you put a high school team out there and, great high school teams out there are going to go score more than that in 8 minutes in.
Yeah, I think someone would actually get more than a free throw in the first.
No, literally.
8 minutes.
It's like what in the world are we watching right now? I was truly in disbelief. One of my coworkers was like asking me before, "Oh, you think I should bet the spread?" I was like, probably. Yeah, probably. And so every 10 minutes he comes up to me, dude, you see the score? I'm like, yeah. Man,
I texted my dad. I think it was 4.5, 5.5 for Gonzaga, and I was like, that is the freest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
I might do alternate to like at least 15.5.
Yeah,
it was insane.
I was like, you need to put as much money as you own on that money line.
So to that point, it really wasn't shocking, but just the overall display, and again, we've talked about it so much, and the whole fan base on Twitter and online is just the lack of heart, the lack of effort, to the point where DeMarcus Cousins even tweeted out, former Kentucky basketball legend, quote, "Can't lie, this UK team has no heart. This is hard to watch, shaking my head."
Yikes.
You have a not just a former Kentucky player, a former Kentucky basketball legend.
Yeah.
Someone who holds the program really close to his heart, and someone who knows what good basketball looks like, and someone that could definitely tell, from living through it, could tell if you're, half-assing it or not.
I mean, that guy, he's the epitome of heart in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, watching him throughout his whole career, that guy never took 1 ounce of his passion out of the game when he played.
And I think that means, it carries more weight.
Absolutely.
It's coming from someone that knows.
Exactly what I was thinking. I mean, it's like, if you got a guy whose whole name of the game is going out there and putting 100%, 110% into every single possession, telling you that you don't look like you have any heart, that's a punch in the face if I'm everybody on that team.
Yeah. And, Kentucky, we will get to this. They did seem to have some players, more heart the next game last night against North Carolina Central. But, to that point, man, that's just unacceptable. Yeah. And, that's something, again, we'll get to this with Mark Pope, but that's just something that cannot happen. I still don't know why and don't understand how or why it is so difficult for this team to care. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could argue NIL, and it all comes down to individual players, but Do you know how many programs around the country are balling out right now that have spent, I don't know what the number is. I don't know if I truly believe 20 million.
I don't think I believe 20 million.
But, it's up there. Definitely among probably top 5, top 3. And very well could be the most expensive roster. But you have teams out there that are all giving their players cars, spending, X, Y, and Z, millions of dollars to get players there. They're competing.
Yeah.
They're trying. They're showing up with, effort.
It seems to be like, since it's a good point to bring up, because I thought that too. Obviously, it's like, well, these guys don't care anymore because you don't have to fight for everything. You don't have to fight to pay your rent. You don't have to fight.
Yeah, you're not trying to get paid to.
Exactly. You're not fighting to go to the NBA as hard as you were anymore.
Yep.
But saying that, it's like, wouldn't you think that that's going to make these guys want to work for the money that they're being paid? You know what I mean? It's like, if I was getting paid whatever, Otega, $4.5 million to play basketball at Kentucky, I'm not going to go out there and play like I'm only worth $100,000 because everyone's going to be mad at me. So I really don't understand what the disconnect is in the effort, because it's like no one feels bad for you.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
And I like to think that I'm a very, very trans person, and I'm very open when I say this, but I try and be level-headed. I try and compare. So I'm not, I was trying to put myself in their shoes. I was sitting there. I was like if I had $4 million just for putting this jersey on, would I be giving 110%? And then I compared it to myself, and it's like, if ESPN or one of the top journalism companies, not saying ESPN is, but one of the top journalism companies was paying me, an unreasonable amount of money to do my job, would I still care and actually do it? And I can confidently say yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a little different, but I'm trying to compare the aspect of you're getting paid to do something. You should just put in full effort. And that's just the game of life. With any job, anything you do, you should always give 100%, especially when you have $1 million plus waved in your face.
Absolutely.
So that to me, it's like, there's some stuff I try and understand, but this I seriously just don't understand.
No, I really can't. And to your point, it's like you look at guys in the NBA now, and
they're still.
You don't see. I mean, you see some guys here in Kawhi load management, whatever. James Harden doesn't play as much as he used to. Joel Embiid, exactly.
Every year.
But you don't see this really happening in the NBA because these guys didn't play in this era in college. So the entitlement issues weren't there. These guys had to fight for everything.
Yeah.
So it's really weird to me. And at the same time, like you were saying about ESPN, Stephen A puts on a different suit every day, 365 days a year, and gets paid a lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
And you don't hear him crying at all about anything, and you don't see him putting in less work towards anything. You know what I mean? It really just goes back to life in general. If you are being paid this much money to play basketball at a high level, at least act like you want to be playing at a high level.
Yeah.
Because right now, it doesn't look like these guys want to be playing at a high level. And I think that brings us into a great point that we can talk about with NC Central about not wanting it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And, the game against North Carolina Central was it was another one of those, not trap games, but quote unquote trap games, to the point where the fan base can believe that this team is something they're not.
Exactly.
What was it, a 36 point? Yeah, 36-point win. So you could easily look at that, look at the box score. We don't want to talk too much about the actual game itself. We will say, to this note, though, because this is an important piece, Jasper Johnson, freshman, had a game high and career high 22 points, which is massive for the team as a whole. They need to start getting those guys that are going to ball out.
Totally.
And, even if it's not the same person every night, you got to have at least one player in 20 plus.
Yeah.
Behind him, Otega had 21 points, and that's also very good. Maybe he's going to start rolling now. That's something he needed to kind of come out of that shell.
Especially with what people were saying about him and his effort the last few weeks.
Exactly. And, he silenced them in that aspect, because I do think that he played hard last night, but it needs to be consistent. This is North Carolina Central. You can look like you're giving effort.
We don't need 20 every night against in the SEC schedule, but you give us 16 to 18 every night. Chef's kiss. That's all you need.
It's going to work.
Yeah.
So what we do want to touch on, though, is Mark Pope's new approach. And this was very, very obvious, very evident. You don't really need to, if you've watched Kentucky before and you watch that game, you don't really need to know a lot about basketball in order to tell that something changed with him. We'll get to the BG story in a second, but after every loss and every win, Mark Pope has seemed happy.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
After every loss, he didn't seem mad ever. He seemed sad.
Yeah.
He seemed
like somebody just killed his mom by accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he seemed distraught, but not in a way where it was motivating, mad, anger, something's going to change.
Yeah.
He would just kind of, wilt and just seemed really upset and really sad. And a lot of the fan base, and I know I agreed with a lot of them, were calling for a different way of going about losses. And last night they won, and he flipped that switch to not being satisfied, not staying happy with the result. He was pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
And
he was not happy.
Not at all. And, after a 36-point win, that sets a different standard. I mean, Mark Pope's a great guy. Even tweeted this out. It's very obvious he's a very good dude. He means well. He doesn't want to hurt a fly.
Yeah.
But you could maybe get away with being soft with your players at BYU. But when you're at Kentucky, something's got to give.
Like, have you looked at the last 5 coaches to come through this program?
Oh, yeah.
Not a soft soul. Not a soft soul. No, I mean, you look at the coaches that have won championships here, Rick Pitino, Coach Cal, guys who literally rip into their team. Do you remember, I don't know, this is my favorite basketball clip of all time, Rick Pitino in the locker room.
With St. John's.
Where are you guys from? Where you're this soft?
Yeah.
Who raised you? And I'm like,
don't you know what adversity's all about?
Exactly, that fires me up, man. So, like, to see Pope after the game be like, yeah, we played well, but, like, there's a lot of effort issues that weren't okay. And I watched his post-game presser this morning to kind of see, and there was a lot of stuff that he was bringing up where it was like obviously highlighting the goods, which is he's great at highlighting the goods.
And
of his
that
teams.
Still is important. You still want to point out the good stuff.
Absolutely. But you could tell that when he started talking about the bads, he was like
pissed.
His gears started to turn. He was just like, I want to, like, he seemed like he wanted to get back out on the gym and correct those mistakes right now. You know what I mean? Which is such a great look to have from him.
Yeah, no, and that to your point is all post-game stuff. So we're going to go into now the real spark, and the real reason I personally believe that this could be a turning point is because Brandon Garrison, very obvious, very evident that he is not, I'm not going to say not having the season he had last year, because last year he was all right, but people expected more of a jump from him.
Yeah, especially from a leadership standpoint specifically.
That's a very good point. More so leadership, but also on the court, just the way he carries himself. He's one of the 4 returning players. Last night, BG turned the ball over with 8 minutes to go in the first half, so this is still relatively early in the game. And no effort, lost the ball, jogged back on defense. Mark Pope called a timeout and absolutely laid into him, screaming, sit down, sit down, sit down. And there was some speculation online that there could have been more after it. He kind of turned around. He couldn't really see what he said. But there was more involved in there. I don't remember exactly what were people saying.
Some things that I saw was to the extent of, sit down, I don't want to watch you play anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we cannot confirm.
Yeah, not confirmed at all. That's what he said.
But it's just a speculation that that's what he said when he turned around and you couldn't hear him anymore.
Yeah, so I think, and he did break his clipboard during that same sequence, which is so uncharacteristic for him, but maybe.
Fires me up, dude.
Fires me up. I mean, that's just old school coaching, not taking any of that BS. Yeah. And
I mean, I need to see him ripping off his blazer, throwing it on the court, screaming. Like, I need angry
I want to see him get teched up a few times. Like,
could you imagine? I think
Rupp would be happy.
He gets teed up versus IU this weekend. Yeah. And that's a turning point of a game. Like, that would definitely turn this fan base around.
No, I totally agree with that. And Mark Pope has just been so mellow, like we talked about after these losses. But in that play right there, and flipping his lid and losing his cool on one of his players, and he benched him. He did not play the rest of the game. This happened at the 8-minute mark in the first half, so he went 28 minutes on the bench. He didn't start, so he's on the bench before, but 28 minutes left in the game, he did not play again. And I think that's the right move, and I think that's the right message to send.
Yeah, I mean, when you can, like, in the best way possible, when you can strike fear in your own team and make sure they realize that, hey, listen, I'm the coach here, and if you guys don't listen to me and do what I say, then this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
He's not a dumb coach. He knows what he's doing.
He's probably one of the smarter ones.
Exactly.
Honestly.
And not even to the extent of basketball-wise, but from a morality standpoint, he's played at Kentucky.
Yep.
He knows what it takes to win a championship here. I mean, it's like people say that over and over again, but it's true. And you hear him talk about it like he doesn't have his guys properly playing to what it feels like to have Kentucky on the front of your shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like when you kind of snap at your guys because they're not playing Kentucky basketball, that might, start to flip that switch in their head like, guys, like, Pope isn't being himself, and it's probably because of us.
Yeah, no, and Ortega was asked about it in the post-game press conference. Someone asked him, I don't remember who it was, but they basically asked if that was the most mad that Ortega's seen Mark Pope in his 2 years of being here, and he said, yeah, and that it was completely justified, which is, I think it's justified. We already went over that, and I think that, to your point, you do want to strike fear in your team. You want to be a family. You want to, whatever happens on the outside is whatever. What's in the locker room is what matters, and you don't want to be to the point where it's like they actually do fear you in the sense that they don't want to be around you.
Yeah.
But, when you're playing like that, you shouldn't even want to show face in Rupp Arena.
No.
Or when you're giving that effort, you shouldn't want to show face in Rupp Arena. So seeing Mark Pope, he is the leader of all 16 of these guys. It is ultimately on him to make sure that they're mentally, physically, and that they're performing well. So when they don't give an effort, I personally have already said it, but I am more than okay with that. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with this against Indiana, but Malachi Moreno is going to obviously, be at the 5 and JQ is out. So I don't know if he can get away with benching BG, but I'd take it another game. I'd sit him another one.
Unless, and I'm pretty positive that this team ran more sprints than they've ever ran in their entire life, probably. Hopefully. After that one. You know what I mean? And that's after a win. And so assuming that the discipline wasn't over after the end of that game, I wouldn't be shocked if he kept it that way. But also, until BG is able to prove that he can put the effort in, I don't see any reason why you pull him off the bench, honestly, for this next game.
No, I agree. And just Ortega saying and, admitting that he thought it was completely justified also shows a lot. And honestly, people, including us, have been knocking Ortega's leadership. Yeah. But him admitting and, publicly outing and agreeing that it's justified, I think that is a very good leadership moment. I think that's crucial for the way that, he needs to start being a leader in that sense of everything. I think that's massive. I do think, though, to our point, this could be a turning point in the season, but I do think it's just one game. Again, it's a mid-major. So we said it before. I said, you don't want to fall into that trap of thinking Kentucky's something that they're not. But with this philosophy and with this approach that Mark Pope has taken, I do think, you should be positive as a fan base going forward until they, again, give you a reason not to be. Yeah. So I would just enjoy and hope and, pray for a turnaround. And then I honestly, on Saturday, the 13th, when Indiana rolls into town, that's going to be very, very telling.
And people don't realize also, I've been told by so many Kentuckians that this game means much more than people realize to Kentucky fans because of obviously the proximity. Like, it's not Kentucky versus Tennessee. It's not Kentucky versus Louisville, but there's a huge section of the state that borders Indiana.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fans who are near that border who kind of bounce back and forth to both sides a little bit. So obviously BBN is going to be huge on this one. But one guy who has been haunting my dreams since he committed to IU instead of Kentucky, Lamar Wilkerson.
Yep.
I'm scared. And I'm scared of him right now. And when he puts up 44 points.
What was it last night, right?
On 24 minutes last night against Penn State. 44 points in 24 minutes on 16 for 22, 10 for 15 from 3.
Dude took 15 three-pointers, and he was shooting 66%. That's insane.
I'm scared.
That is terrifying. That is terrifying.
And that's a guy who you were expecting to bring in and be like a good player, but not the leading scorer of your team. And right now, he is outplaying basically everybody on Kentucky's roster.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, looking at his past games, he has 20-plus in only 2 other ones, but he's been consistently around 12, 15, 18, 14, 19. So he had that explosive performance, dropped 44 against, it is Penn State, granted, but it is a Big Ten school. So, that's really worrying, honestly.
The only thing I will say is that their game against Louisville looks not exactly the same as our game against Louisville, but ended up finishing to be a very similar outcome.
Yeah, so, Kentucky's going to lose their ability to get a ranked win if they do beat Indiana, because Indiana lost to Minnesota and then lost to Louisville, so they did fall out of the AP poll. But they are still 8-2.
Yeah.
They're a very solid team. Tucker DeVries is a very, very solid player, obviously. I think he's coming in from West Virginia. Yeah, Drake balled out, West Virginia. Now he's at Indiana. So, Israel, what do you want to see from Kentucky aside from a win?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but what would you want to see? If Kentucky was to lose that game, is there one thing they could do that would make you be like, okay, that's all right?
They could lose this game, but if we see progress still from coach and having the team be like, I want this team to just be prepared for the game.
Yeah.
If they lose by 1 or 2 like they did against UNC, so be it.
So be it, unless they go 1/4 of the game without
exactly.
a field goal.
Yeah. So
that depends,
it's definitely how they finish. But like, they need to. The way that they have come into their ranked matchups this year, and like you said, it's not a ranked matchup, but the way that they've come into their ranked matchups this year has looked horrible.
Yep.
From start to finish, horrible. All I'm asking is this team come out, doesn't go down 20 within 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with
comes
that.
at a half and doesn't let them go on another big scoring run to start the second half.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're losing these games in the first 10 minutes most of the time. So, I mean, by halftime, if we're competitive, I really think this game will be competitive till the end. But if this is a blowout by IU in the first half, I'm done. I quit. I don't know what to do anymore with my life. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary because it very well could happen, but it absolutely should not happen against this team.
And honestly, if it does, I mean, it is at Rupp Arena, but we saw it in Nashville. If it does happen, there will be some boos.
My gosh.
Which we can go on that topic real quick too. I think that the boos are totally deserved because the way I put it, Big Blue Nation has Kentucky basketball in their best interest. Kentucky basketball does not have Big Blue Nation in their best interest.
Yeah.
So Kentucky is playing, I mean, if you want to even say playing, Kentucky's out there somewhat competing for themselves, where the fan base shows up, spends money, pays $35 to park 0.1 miles down the street just to watch you play and not show up. So I think in the aspect of if Kentucky was losing these games, if they lost to Gonzaga and Nashville but actually tried and didn't look like a high school team, then I think the boos would be unnecessary.
Absolutely.
But I can't lie, if I was a fan and I was at that game and, you know, just being a student, I know there were a lot of students there. If I drove, 2.5, 3 hours to Nashville,
3 hours to Nashville.
I'm going to lose my voice booing them. So what do you
screaming.
think? I think that's justified.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. It's absolutely justified. And Pope agrees that it was justified. And I think, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think it was DA who also commented on it saying, yeah, it was justified.
It was, yeah.
And I'm glad that they're taking the accountability to agree on the fact that it is okay to, well, not okay to be booed, but it was justified for them to be booed. Like, I think it's a step in the right direction for them to realize that, hey, fan base isn't behind us right now. You know what I mean? So we need to show out.
Like this ship is sinking.
Yeah,
and we gotta
exactly
raise it real quick.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you can say all this. Yeah, we get it. Yeah, we think it's okay. But if they're not going to change anything, I mean, talk is talk.
Yeah,
you need to see the results on the floor.
No, I totally agree, and hopefully we will see some good stuff. But
we've said that before.
I know, that's why I'm really scared to go and finish the show off with this. You got any score predictions for this Indiana game?
It's hard, man, because I want to say we're gonna win.
I want to say we're going to keep it close,
but I don't.
But whenever I think that or hope that or somewhat believe that that's an option, it never is.
Yeah, whenever Lamar Wilkerson decides to say, I'm going to show these guys why I went to the right school.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? And so, you know, there's the big chip on his shoulder coming into this 100%. And regardless of whether or not he'll admit it or not, it's there. Because this was
totally.
I mean, he was this close to coming to Kentucky. He was at Keeneland with Pope. You know what I mean?
No,
he was
got
right
shown
there.
Around, yeah.
So it was, I mean, give me like I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a less than 10-point win, but I do think IU will sneak it out somewhere in the 70s, 80s.
I was going to say probably 85-78 Indiana.
Yeah.
And honestly, maybe that's what that's what the team needs. Maybe we need to give our predictions towards the other team in their favor, and maybe something will change. But
maybe. I mean, we did that for Gonzaga. Look what happened there.
We did. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we're trying everything.
I mean, guys, we're really trying our best. We were texting before we got here about what we're going to go over and stuff, and I was like, I think we actually have something somewhat positive to talk about in regards to how Mark Pope changed his philosophy last night.
And I'm excited to see
me too.
How he continues to drive in this philosophy, because if we see the turnaround of this team because he tore into BG, we're going to be talking about this 10 years down the line. You remember when Pope destroyed his clipboard and benched BG and told him to go sit down. We don't want to watch you play anymore. You know,
and hopefully there'll be a 9th banner hanging in Rupp by that time.
And we'll be laughing and saying, wow, we were stressing for no reason. But until then, we have IU on Saturday.
Yes,
Saturday. So get by that first.
Saturday, December 13th, 7:30 p.m. tip-off inside of Rupp Arena. You can watch it on ESPN. That does it for us. We're trying our best to give you guys some positive stuff, but next time we talk to you guys, I finish every episode with this. Maybe we'll have something good to talk about. But until then, I'm Tyler Russell, and this is Israel Schill.